The black sea of space stretched endlessly, silent and cold. Stars blinked in the distance, tiny lights against a vast darkness. And then, that silence was broken. From the shadows emerged a fleet of alien ships, huge and wounded. Their hulls carried deep scars, burned metal, broken panels, and shattered armor. Engines coughed with flickering sparks, some barely holding together. It was clear these ships had survived a terrible war. But what was strange was not their state. The strangest thing was their destination. They did not turn toward their own great repair worlds. They did not call their own advanced engineers. Instead, they drifted toward a human repair station, small and fragile compared to them. Dock 12, one of humanity's modest orbital docks, waited silently in orbit around a barren moon. It was nothing special, just steel arms, docking bays, and welding crews. Yet, for some reason, alien fleets came here again and again, as if this small place was more trusted than their own mighty empires. Inside the station, Commander Ilara stood on the observation deck. Her sharp eyes followed the broken ships as they approached. She felt the station shiver under the gravity pull of those massive vessels. They were so large they could crush the human dock with one mistake. And yet they slowed carefully, respectfully, like pilgrims reaching a holy place. Chief Engineer Harris stood beside her, grease still on his hands. He shook his head slowly and muttered, "Another fleet, Commander. They could have gone anywhere, so why do they always come here?" Ilara did not answer. Her thoughts were heavy. This was not the first time, and she knew it would not be the last. 4 years now, fleets of different alien species had arrived the same way. Broken, desperate, yet trusting humans more than their own kind. The comms crackled with static, and then a voice spoke, alien but clear. "We request sanctuary. We request human repair. We trust your hands." The words were filled with desperation, but also something else, loyalty. It was the same phrase every alien fleet used when they came. And every time, humans wondered why. The first ship docked, the station groaned under the weight. Metal arms locked it into place, shaking slightly as they secured the vessel. Harris wiped his forehead nervously. "One wrong move, and they'll crush us flat," he whispered. But the alien commander bowed his head, silent and patient, waiting for humans to begin. Work crews rushed forward, sparks flying as welders lit their torches. Panels were opened, broken circuits removed, melted wires replaced. The humans did not pause, even when they faced alien systems they had never seen before. They improvised, they guessed, and somehow the guesses always worked. Alien engineers watching from the shadows exchanged uneasy glances. They had built these ships, but they could not fix them the way humans did. And so, they waited quietly, giving their trust away like a gift. Commander Ilara's eyes scanned the bay. Everywhere she looked, aliens stood back in silence. Not one of them dared to interfere. It was as if they believed that human touch alone carried some hidden power. Her mind turned with questions. Why humanity? Why these fragile repair stations? What did humans give that alien civilizations could not? Hours passed as repairs continued. Engines that had been silent roared back to life. Hull cracks sealed stronger than before. Weapons that once sparked uselessly now hummed with power again. And with each success, alien eyes glowed with something humans did not expect: respect. Harris leaned closer to Ilara, lowering his voice. "You ever wonder, Commander, maybe they don't just come here for repairs?" Ilara raised an eyebrow. "Then what do they come for?" Harris shook his head. "Don't know, but it feels like they need more than welding and wires, something deeper." The words echoed in Ilara's mind as she looked out at the vast alien fleet. Her gaze was steady, but her heart carried unease. Because deep inside, she already suspected the truth. Aliens did not come only for repairs. They came for something greater, something invisible, something that might change the future of the entire galaxy. The observation deck lights dimmed as power shifted to the docks. Ilara stood tall, her hands gripping the railing. Her voice was calm, but heavy with meaning. "They don't come because we are better engineers, Harris," she said softly. "They come because there's something about us they cannot explain." Her words hung in the air like a quiet prophecy, and though no one answered, everyone felt it. The secret was out there, waiting, and soon it would reveal itself. The alien fleet hung in orbit like wounded giants, their massive shadows stretching across the small human station. Inside Dock 12, sparks flew as human welders climbed across alien hulls, fixing cracks that stretched for kilometers. Plasma torches hissed, metal screamed, and the air smelled of burning alloys. Yet, despite the chaos, there was rhythm, a strange harmony that only humans seemed able to create. Chief Engineer Harris barked orders. Team 3, secure the coolant pipes. Team 4, reroute the damaged power nodes. Don't wait for instructions. Improvise if you must. And the teams obeyed without hesitation. Humans never froze when they saw something strange. They adapted. If a wire didn't fit, they bent it. If a system failed, they bypassed it. What mattered was not perfection, but survival. And that instinct lived deep in every human worker. Aliens stood behind protective glass, their tall figures motionless, their many eyes unblinking. They watched humans climb into dangerous places where plasma leaks could fry them alive. They watched as human hands touched unfamiliar tech without fear. To alien eyes, this was madness, but it was also brilliance. Because where alien engineers demanded precision and formulas, humans demanded only one thing: results. Commander Ilera walked into the control bay, her gaze sharp. She saw the alien commander waiting there, a being of silver skin and eyes that glowed faint blue. The alien lowered his head in respect, something almost unthinkable for his proud kind. "You work fast," he said in broken English, "faster than my people ever would." Ilera studied him carefully. "Why not repair your own ships? Surely your technology is older, wiser, more advanced than ours." The alien's gaze shifted, uncertain, advanced yes but blind. Those words echoed strangely, as though hiding something unspoken. Meanwhile, Harris crawled deep into the engine core of the flagship. He wiped sweat from his brow, staring at an impossible system. Cables glowed with alien energy. Reactors hummed with strange pulses. None of it matched human design, and yet he pressed forward. He rerouted currents through makeshift adapters, used human alloys to patch alien conduits. When he hit a problem, he didn't consult manuals. He built a new solution on the spot. Minutes later, the core roared to life, stronger than before. Alien engineers gasped in shock, whispering among themselves. Their own kind had failed for weeks, and humans fixed it in hours. Rumors began to spread across the docking bays. Aliens whispered in low tones, passing glances filled with awe and confusion. Some said humans carried the spark. Others said human minds worked in ways alien logic could never follow. For every fleet that came here, the story grew bigger, and the mystery of human repair stations turned into legend. Ilera overheard one alien officer whisper, "They see what we cannot. They repair more than ships. They repair hope." The words made her pause. Was that the answer? Was hope the true reason? But she shook her head, refusing to believe it was that simple. Later that night, when most workers rested, Ilera stood alone at the viewport. The stars glittered coldly. The alien fleet floated silently, waiting. She thought of Earth, still young compared to ancient civilizations. Yet here they were, holding the trust of species older than human history itself. Why would empires with thousands of years of science bow their heads to humanity's scrap metal stations? Why would warriors and kings call upon fragile humans instead of their own kind? Harris approached, wiping grease from his hands. "Engines are stable, Commander," he said, "but there's something strange in their systems, some kind of lock, almost like the ships refuse their own engineers." Ilera turned sharply. "Refuse?" Harris nodded. "Yeah, it's like the ships themselves accept us, but reject them, almost as if the machines know the difference." Her eyes narrowed, Her chest tightened with unease. Machines didn't think, not in that way. And yet, deep inside, she wondered if there was truth in his words. Maybe the ships did know. Maybe the universe itself saw humans differently. The alien commander returned, stepping closer. His silver voice hummed softly. Your kind is strange. You do not repair like us. You reshape, improve, create. Machines listen to you. They obey your hands. Alara stared at him, silent. And then the alien bowed, his voice trembling. This is why we come. This is why we trust you, because your kind holds what ours has lost. Her heart pounded at his words. What had humanity discovered without even knowing it? What hidden strength did they carry? Unseen, but undeniable. The secret was close, she could feel it, and she knew that the next fleet to arrive might finally bring the answer. An answer that could shake the galaxy. The repairs stretched into the second week. Dock 12 glowed with constant activity, welding sparks flashing like tiny suns. Engines roared back to life one by one. Hulls were sealed, weapons recharged. But while human crews worked with sweat and noise, the aliens stood back in silence, their many eyes never leaving the humans, as if watching something holy unfold. Commander Alara moved across the docking bays, her boots echoing on steel floors. Everywhere she turned, she saw the same pattern. Humans didn't just repair broken parts. They improved them. A coolant system that once overheated now ran smoother than ever. An engine core that once sputtered now produced cleaner thrust. Every fix, every patch was more than repair. It was transformation. Harris stood beside a glowing alien reactor, wiping his greasy hands. The machine pulsed like a beating heart. We didn't just fix it, he said with a grin. We made it better. Alara frowned. Better? By design. Harris shook his head. No, just instinct. The blueprint said one thing, but I felt it could work another way, so I tried it, and it did. To him, it was simple, but to the aliens watching from behind the glass, it was unthinkable. One alien engineer pressed his claws against the window, eyes wide. He changes without knowledge. He changes without fear. And it works, the alien whispered to his companion. Another replied, Our kind would never risk it. We follow the design, even if the design fails. Their voices trembled with something between awe and envy. That night, in the control room, Alara studied reports. Every system repaired by humans showed improvements beyond the original standard. But the alien systems repaired by their own engineers returned only to their baseline, never beyond. She leaned back in her chair, unsettled. What humans called improvisation, aliens called impossibility. And yet, this impossibility had become humanity's gift. Rumors began spreading across the fleet. Alien soldiers spoke of the human touch. Some believed humans carried a strange energy in their hands. Others said humans were chosen by the universe itself. For the first time in centuries, warriors of alien empires whispered not about their own heroes, but about human engineers. Alara walked through the station's quiet corridors late at night. Through the windows, she saw alien ships glowing softly in the dark. Her thoughts were heavy. Maybe the secret was not about tools, not about knowledge. Maybe it was about something deeper, something unseen. Humans dared where others hesitated. Humans created where others repeated. And in that difference lay the reason fleets trusted them. The alien commander approached her again, his silver skin glowing faintly under the lights. You wonder why we come, he said quietly. The answer is not skill alone. Alara crossed her arms. Then what is it? The alien lowered his gaze, almost ashamed. Our kind builds with perfection, but perfection cannot change. When it breaks forever. But your kind sees possibility where we see only failure. His words struck her like a blade. Possibility, that was the difference. Humans didn't see limits, they saw options. Even when surrounded by failure, they reached for hope. The next morning, Harris and his crew tested a repair destroyer. Engines roared louder than they had in decades. weapons fired with perfect precision. The alien captain stepped aboard, and for the first time in years, his ship responded like it was alive. He turned to Alara, his voice shaking. "Your people did not just fix my ship, you gave it back its soul." Alara felt a chill run down her spine. Ships didn't have souls, not in human eyes. But maybe to aliens they did. And maybe, somehow, humans could touch that part, even without knowing it. Dock 12 buzzed with whispers, both human and alien. The legend grew, and with it, unease. Because if humanity truly carried something unseen, then soon, the whole galaxy would demand to know why. And Alara knew the truth was still waiting in the shadows. A truth more dangerous than broken ships. A truth that could change not just repairs, but the balance of power in the stars. Dock 12 was no longer just a repair station. It had become something else, something larger than its metal walls. The alien fleets waiting outside treated it like a sanctuary, a holy ground where hope was rebuilt. But not everyone in the galaxy was pleased. Far beyond the station, in the dark halls of rival empires, whispers grew sharper. In a council chamber lit by cold fire, alien leaders argued. "Our fleets abandon US," one growled. "They travel past our worlds, they ignore our engineers, all for the humans." Another slammed a fist against the table. "Do you not see the danger? Humanity is weak now, but if this continues, they will hold power over us all." The voices rose in anger, fear, and jealousy. They called humans reckless, chaotic, unworthy. Yet in the same breath, they admitted what none could deny. Human repairs worked, and theirs did not. Back at Dock 12, Alara felt the weight of this growing storm. Reports arrived of questions being asked in alien parliaments, of protests on distant worlds. Some empires demanded answers, others sent spies. One night, Harris caught 2 alien officers sneaking into the repair bays, scanning equipment, recording human techniques. When confronted, they did not fight, they begged. "Teach us." One pleaded, "Show us what you do, so our fleets will return to us." But Harris only shook his head, because there was nothing to teach. What humans did was not written in manuals. It lived in instinct, in the chaos of their minds. The next day, a new fleet arrived, smaller but heavily armed. Its ships bore the crest of a powerful rival empire. The commander of that fleet refused the usual bow, his voice cold on the comms. "Human station, you will service our ships, but you will also explain your secret." Alara stood in the observation deck, her jaw tight. "We repair what we can," she replied calmly, "but we have no secret." The alien commander's eyes burned with suspicion. "If you lie, your fragile station will be dust," he warned. Inside the docks, tension rose like a storm. Workers moved slower, their hands trembling. Even the alien fleets, already docked, grew restless, their commanders whispering in unease. Would humanity's sanctuary turn into a battlefield? Would the mystery that made them special now bring destruction upon them? Harris tried to keep his crew focused. "Work fast. Don't think about threats. Think about the engines," he told them. And the crews obeyed, patching, welding, testing. But Alara knew the real test was not the repairs. The real test was trust. Later, the rival commander met Alara face to face in the control bay. His armored frame towered over her, his voice sharp like a blade. "Why do fleets choose you over us? What poison have you planted in their minds?" Alara did not flinch. "We planted nothing. They come because they believe in us." The alien growled, "Believe? Belief does not repair metal." Alara's eyes locked on his, steady and calm. "No, but it repairs something greater," she said. "It repairs courage." The commander froze, his rage caught by confusion. Courage was not a word his kind used often. But before he could answer, a roar shook the hangar. One of his damaged ships powered up, systems blazing stronger than before. Alien crew gasped, pointing at screens. "The humans improved it," they cried. "It runs cleaner, faster, like new." The rival commander stared, torn between fury and disbelief. He had demanded proof, and here it was, Not tricks, not poison, just results. Still, his pride would not let him admit it. You meddle with things you do not understand. He spat. But Alara's voice was calm, carrying across the deck. Or maybe we understand what you have forgotten. That moment spread across the fleets like fire. Whispers grew louder. Humans were not thieves, not liars. They were different. They carried something no empire could control. And the more alien leaders tried to deny it, the more their people began to see the truth. Doc 12 had survived the threat, but Alara knew it was only the beginning. The shadows of truth were spreading. And soon, the galaxy would not only question humanity's gift, they would fear it. For in every repair, in every touch of human hands, the balance of power was quietly shifting. The days after the rival fleet's departure were uneasy. Doc 12 returned to work, but the silence carried weight. Everyone knew more eyes were watching now. Not just allies, but enemies. Every spark from a welder, every hum of an engine, felt heavier than before. One evening, alarms rang through the station. A new fleet approached, not like the others. This one was smaller, but its ships carried marks of forbidden technology. Dark energy shimmered around their hulls, unstable and dangerous. The sight alone made even seasoned workers shiver. Commander Alara stood at the viewport, her face set in steel. Beside her, Harris muttered, "That's no ordinary fleet, Commander. Those are warships built on tech their own empire's banned." The comms crackled. A voice came through, low and desperate. "Human station, we come not only for repair, but for trust. Our own kind would kill us if we return, but we believe you will help." The request froze the control bay. To repair ordinary ships was one thing, but to touch forbidden technology was another. If Doc 12 helped them, humanity could be accused of siding with traitors. If they refused, they would lose the trust that had made them legends. The alien commander appeared on the hollow screen, his eyes burning with intensity. "We risked everything to come here," he said. "We chose humans because humans see what others do not. If you refuse, we are finished. If you accept, we live." The crew turned to Alara, waiting. It was not just a question of repairs. It was a question of loyalty. Alara paced slowly, her voice calm but heavy. "If we help, every empire will know. They will see us as dangerous, as meddlers." Harris crossed his arms. "Maybe they already do. Commander, maybe this is why they fear us, because we choose when others only obey." In the hangar, the forbidden ships docked. Their engines glowed with unstable power, crackling with strange colors. Human crews hesitated, but Alara stepped forward. "We repair," she said firmly. "That is who we are." Work began, and the danger was immediate. Energy bursts tore through circuits, radiation flared. But humans did not back away. They improvised, shielding with scrap metal, rerouting flows through pipes never meant for such power. Hours turned to days, sweat turned to blood, but slowly the ships began to heal. Aliens from other fleets watched in stunned silence. They whispered, "Humans dare touch what we fear." Another replied, "They're not bound by our laws. They're bound only by will." Inside the flagship, Harris discovered something hidden deep within the systems. A sealed core, encrypted and alive with unknown energy. When he opened it, a cascade of data spilled out. Blueprints, secrets, and evidence of a truth larger than any empire. "Commander," he whispered over comms, "these ships weren't just broken, they were sabotaged by their own leaders." Alara's heart pounded. So this was the reason the fleet came here. Not only because they trusted humans, but because they carried proof of betrayal. Proof that could tear apart entire empires. When the repairs were complete, the alien commander bowed deeply. "Your loyalty is not to our laws, but to life itself," he said. "For this, we will never forget." Alara nodded, but her eyes were heavy. She knew the choice they made tonight would echo across the galaxy. Dock 12 was no longer just a station of repair. It had become a station of truth. Outside, the forbidden fleet powered up, stronger than before. Other alien fleets looked on with awe and fear. For the first time, Whispers did not call Dock 12 only a sanctuary. They called it something more dangerous. They called it the heart of humanity's rising power. Alara stood at the viewport as the repaired ships departed. Her reflection stared back, steady and unyielding. "We chose to help," she whispered, "and now the galaxy will choose how to judge us." The crew around her fell silent, because they all knew the test was not over. It had only begun. The air inside Dock 12 was heavy. Repairs were done. The Forbidden Fleet had left, but the silence that followed was louder than any engine. Whispers spread across the stars, carried by traders and travelers. They spoke of humans who touched forbidden machines and made them live again. They spoke of a station where even the dead metal seemed to listen to human hands. Commander Alara walked through the dark control bay. Her mind replayed Harris's discovery, sabotage cores, hidden data, truths that empires buried. What humans found was not just broken steel, it was evidence of lies. If these secrets spread, wars would ignite. But something inside her told her the real secret was even bigger. Harris sat hunched over the alien core they had taken apart. Its inner lights pulsed like a heartbeat, strange and alive. He rubbed his tired eyes, muttering, "It's almost like it wants to be fixed, but not by them, only by us." Alara frowned. "You mean the ships choose?" He nodded slowly. "Not choose exactly, but respond. When aliens touch them, the systems resist, but when we touch them, they open." The idea sounded impossible, but Alara could not ignore it. Again and again, the same pattern appeared. Alien fleets, with centuries of science, could not heal their own ships. Yet humans, young and reckless, could. Why? Later, while checking another engine, Harris made a mistake. He connected the wrong wires, something that should have fried the whole system. Instead, the ship roared to life, stronger than before. The alien crew gasped, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. "Ow!" one whispered. "How do they succeed even when they fail?" That night, Alara met with the silver-skinned alien commander once more. His voice was calm, almost sorrowful. "Do you know why we cannot fix what you can?" he asked. Alara shook her head, waiting. "Because we lost what you still hold," he said. "We built perfection until it became a cage. We erased mistakes. We erased imagination. We erased risk. But you humans, you still dare to fail, and in failure, you find new paths." Alara felt her chest tighten. It was not tools, not training, not power. It was something hidden in the human spirit itself. The willingness to break rules, to see not just what was, but what could be. That was why machines seemed to open to them. That was why fleets trusted them. Because humans carried what the galaxy had forgotten: imagination. Harris confirmed it in his own blunt way. "We don't fix things the right way. Commander, we fix them the human way, and sometimes the wrong way becomes better than the right one." The alien engineers who overheard fell silent, their faces pale. For them, such words were dangerous, almost heresy, but they could not deny the proof before their eyes. As the revelation spread, alien captains began to bow not just in respect, but in reverence. They whispered, "Humans are not chosen because of strength, but because of vision." Others said, "They repair not just ships, but destiny." Alara stood on the observation deck, staring at the fleets gathered outside. More were coming every day, lining up like pilgrims at a sacred temple. The galaxy was changing, and humanity stood at its center. Not because of weapons, not because of empire, but because of something invisible, something unstoppable. The gift of possibility. She gripped the railing, her voice steady. "They don't come to us because we are stronger," she whispered. "They come because we see differently, and that difference is the key." Her crew listened in silence, their hearts heavy with pride and fear. For they knew the revelation was not just a secret anymore. It was the beginning of a new chapter, and the whole galaxy would soon decide what to do with humanity's gift. The galaxy was no longer the same. Word had spread faster than light. carried by traders, soldiers, and wandering fleets. Everywhere, the story was the same. Humans repaired what others could not. They touched machines that refused their own makers, and somehow, they gave them new life. Dock 12, once just a small outpost, had become something greater. Fleets arrived in endless lines, broken and desperate, but full of faith. The barren moon it orbited was now surrounded by ships from 100 worlds. From tiny scout vessels to mighty war cruisers, all waited patiently for human hands. What was once a dock now looked like a shining heart of the galaxy, pulsing with fire and sparks. Commander Ilera stood at the center of it all. Her crew worked day and night, their laughter mixing with the roar of engines. Chief Engineer Harris climbed out of a reactor chamber, his face covered in grease. Another one done, he grinned, better than new. Ilera smiled faintly, but her eyes carried the weight of history. For she knew they were not just fixing ships, they were reshaping the balance of power. In distant empires, leaders grew restless. Some called humans heroes, others called them threats. But no matter what they said, the fleets kept coming. Because broken ships did not listen to speeches, they listened to results. And results were what humanity gave. On the docking platforms, alien captains bowed as their ships roared to life again. "Your kind restores more than steel," one whispered. "You restore faith." Another said, "We fear death, but you remind us of possibility." Every word was a crown heavier than gold. Every bow was a pledge of trust that no empire could demand. One evening, as Ilera watched the fleets orbit like stars around the station, the silver-skinned commander approached her again. His voice was soft, but full of certainty. "Do you see what has happened? You humans have become the keepers of hope, not because of strength, but because of vision." Ilera answered quietly, "Hope is fragile." The alien bowed deeply. "And yet you make it stronger than steel." Inside the control bay, Harris shook his head as he looked at the growing queue of ships. "Commander, if this keeps up, we'll need 1,000 Dock 12s. Ilera gave a rare smile. "Maybe we will, Harris, maybe the galaxy will build them, not for themselves, but for us." The revelation of humanity's gift had become truth. Every empire, every species understood it now. Humans were different, not because they were strongest, not because they were oldest, but because they carried something no one else dared hold. The courage to fail, the will to imagine, the power to create possibility where none existed. The galaxy named them the repairers of hope. And fleets no longer saw humanity as weak. They saw them as essential. For without human hands, their ships would fly, but their spirits would remain broken. With humans, both ship and soul were healed. Ilera looked out one last time at the endless stars. Her voice was calm, carrying across the command deck. "They did not choose us because we were mighty," she whispered. "They chose us because we remind them what they once were and what they still could be." Harris chuckled softly. "Guess that makes us more dangerous than we thought." Ilera's eyes glimmered. "Not dangerous, Harris, just necessary." Outside, the repaired fleets spread their wings and soared into the dark. Each ship carried more than metal. It carried a story, a legend of humanity's difference. And in the silence that followed, Dock 12 stood shining like a beacon. Not just a station of repair, but a symbol of triumph. Humanity had risen not with conquest, but with creation. Not with weapons, but with imagination. And the galaxy, whether it liked it or not, had chosen them.